Now the thing I want to explain about a side bending is that once the side gets up to temperature, and in this case that temperature is somewhere around 300 degrees, the side literally loosens up and becomes pliable. Now, since it's really only contacting in one spot, you have to have a feed rate that I like to call it surfing. It's really surfing that hot spot, and it's staying right on there. If you bend too fast, it's going to get ahead of the pliable part. If you bend too slow, you're simply wasting time and you're dwelling in one spot too long, getting it too hot. So you're just moving along at a nice even rate, and the side just goes with the flow.
The pressure across the shim is perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Now that's going to stay in there for what?
Depending on what speed I press, like for this one, it takes about 1:45 to come up to position, and then after that it sits in there anywhere from 45 seconds to.
So is that enough time to get another set of sides going? Why don't we do that? So here we have rosewood.
This is rosewood.
And what model is this?
This is a Grand Concert.
Okay, so we can just go right to the next bender. You'll notice if you do a sweep around the department with the cameras that there's 8 bending devices here. Grand Concert being these two. The Grand Auditorium is here. Then we have the Dreadnoughts. Then we have the Jumbos. So we can, throughout the day, you can start out by basically using you bend one of each.
Yeah,
and then pretty soon you're done with your Jumbos, and you move down, and then pretty soon you're done, and eventually you end up with Grand Auditorium.
Grand Auditoriums and Dreadnoughts is what we work on. You want me to do it?
Yeah, let's just start getting some into some other benders here until pretty soon we've got several benders going.
Okay. Same thing. This is a cutaway. It's laser to size, so one side is going to be shorter, but these notches here still line up. Exact same thing. I want to make sure that the hash marks are facing up.
Look at the flame in this. Now, previously, that would be like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's caution.
I'm going to break that side.
Caution.
With these benders, you can pretty much put them in with no fear.
Yeah.
If those things break, it's not your fault.
Oh, no. It's the machine's fault.
But they won't. That's an amazing thing.
Okay, same idea. I want to put the tabs in with the notches facing towards each other. Tape it into place. Go ahead and bring the paper up to my mark. Cut the paper. Fold it in half towards me. Place the sides in the paper. We're ready to rock.
Okay.
The same thing, since it's maple, I want to kind of be cautious with it. Make sure that it's going to go slow enough that the flames will heat up well enough and we won't have any crack problems. Now that this is ready, it's got a timer on it where these LED lights tell you when to press the button.
So it's done now.
It's done now. So I go ahead and press the return button. The arm comes back. There's also 2 sensors here. There's a piece of metal telling how far to go this come to position. And then when it resets, it has another piece of metal. When it hits that sensor, the arm won't crash.
Perfect. Gotcha.
Now make sure that...
Now I want you to notice the camera can get on here. Look at how this is wet. There's enough water inside the wood to actually soak through and get the sides wet. Why don't you flip it up to where they can see this? Look at the water that's coming out of that wood. You wouldn't think there's that much water in the wood, but there is. It's a huge amount. And in fact, later we'll see steam coming out. This is also, I'll take a moment here to say, if there can be this much water in the wood, you can also understand how much you can dry your guitar if you don't take care of the humidity properly. This is dry wood, but there's literally water coming out of it. Okay? We'll restore that moisture content by climatizing them again. All right, so back over to here.
So I'll go ahead and put the guitar in the bender. Now, the paper won't let me see the locator tab here, but what I'll go ahead and do is I'll push this metal piece
just push it right
through the paper. And this is very important.
Can we get a close-up on this, maybe? There we go.
Right here, this is very important. Where the center line's at tells you where the guitar's at. Now, for any reason that center line is off, the whole guitar is going to be off.
Everything's off.
Everything's going to be off. So this is very important. So knowing that I have this this tab up against this pin here, I know that this is centered every time.
Okay.
Every time it's accurate. Now go ahead and center, just make a little
You
adjustment.
just sort of feel for it to fall into place.
Fall into place. It's where the waste wants to go.
Uh-huh.
Then I go ahead and tighten this down.
And you're tightening up against this spring tension here. Actually, there's pneumatic cylinders that are pulling, I think, 300 pounds of tension onto that plate.
So the upper and lower belts are really not that drastic of a bend. So I personally put it on medium.
Okay.
That way I know it's going to go fast enough, but not too slow.
Okay. All right, so the steam right through this hole is coming out, and it's really coming out the other side too. This gives you a good example of how much water there actually is in there. It's really trapped in this spot here. There's not much of a way for it to get out, but up here it's running out of the end grain of the wood and making it through there. So also since we have it encapsulated into the paper, the steam or the moisture content tends to stay in the wood. We don't lose it off of there. So when we could take a well-seasoned side, bend it, and come back, and it's not nearly as dry as they used to be, even though we used to dunk them in water. So they actually climatize a lot better.
Yeah.
So this one's ready to move.
This one's ready. Now do the same action like I did on the Grand Concert. It's got the sensors on the side also, telling when to stop and when to come up position. You can see
Yeah, you can see the water showing up on that
water
one again.
coming. You can also see the shape of it being of how it holds. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it really holds that shape.
Okay. Same idea. I'll push the tap through the paper. Make sure it's up against there.
Yeah.
Now I know that center of the waste is where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Make sure it just fits into place here. Tighten it up. Now, for any reason I don't go far up enough, I can press this button all day and it won't activate.
It isn't going to work. Okay.
But since it has a sensor here, it tells the machine, okay, it's ready to come up. So I'll go ahead, same thing, I'll use medium, and it'll start bending upwards.
It starts coming up. And what's the dwell time here? Is this going to cook for a minute, 2 minutes, what?
Anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
It's a lot more consistent.
Okay.
The time that we save, it's not necessarily on how we're bending it, but how many we're bending.
That's right.
Before we could do it really, really fast, but the consistency that we have now is
unbelievable.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.